our collecting regrets. One of the things that we don't talk about enough is when is getting rid of an item considered too early or too late?
Ooh, that's Mr. Speculator right there. I mean, there's no right time. I mean, okay, we've been on YouTube for coming up on 12 years. Do you know how many videos we have to look back on and go, crap, I remember giving that to Ricky. Crap, I passed up on that. Crap, I sold that to Ricky for $2. I mean, endless amounts of stuff. It might maybe it's a hard question too, because it does bring to surface why you collect, right? Because a lot of people that do these collecting regret videos, pointing you out, whoever you are on the internet, they'll be like, dude, I love video games. I'm all about playing games. I just like to play video games. I love them. And then they do these videos about collecting regrets, and they're like, dude, Little Samson, because it's worth a lot. And I'm like, aha! It wasn't about the game. It was about the money is why you regret it. So if we're talking, game, so to say, it's like from an actual video game itself, there almost is no regret because you can pretty much play anything you want. So it almost forces you into being like, we're talking about value here. Yes, are you saying something? Or are you
no. I was just breathing.
Are you just old and out of breath?
Definitely the second one. But I mean, another one thing is like, are we holding on to things because of the potential value or for the sentimental value?
For me, it's always the value. It really is. And my biggest regrets are, and I have many of them, are games that I sold that like were begged and kind of almost pleaded out of me a lot of times. Where I'm like, I look back and I'm like, man, like. What is the game on Sega Genesis? Centurion Defender?
Defender of Century of Defender? Something like that. I know what you're talking about.
You know which one I'm talking about? Yeah. I found that game at a flea market probably in 2009, and I bought it for $3. And I held on to it, and at the time, one of my good friends, if he watches this, he'll know who he is. I sold it to him for probably $50 because he was like, dude, please sell me that. It was complete in box, the mintest copy you'll ever find. That game now is worth like $2,000+. Yeah. And I once a year, like I'll be like, dude, let me buy that back from you. And he's like, no, never. And I'm just like, So my rule now is just never sell, even though I sell things all the time.
How does your store stay open?
So those are my like mids, lows, I'll call them. And we sell some pretty rare items, but as rare items come into the store, a lot of that's kind of what I like to collect is just the KOs that I talked about earlier, sealed stuff, things that you're not going to see. Yeah. And like when Caleb came and I
convinced
put
you
those
to go
out,
hypergrind.
Yeah. And you know what I did? Literally the next day, I bought that back from him when we went to the convention because he found another copy, and I was so happy to get that Go hypergrind back.
Hey, bro, you're sick.
Just never sell.
Here's a more like serious question, since you guys are all kind of fathers and everything. Are you holding on to things in hopes that your kids will enjoy them someday?
Let's let Ricky answer that one. I like that for Ricky.
I actually am. So a lot of like the Wii and GameCube, or not GameCube, Wii and Wii U stuff.
GameCube?
The Wii and Wii U stuff, I'm holding it for my kids because that's what we played. Like I think Gabe, when he was little, that's when I was playing Resident Evil with him right here. I was like, oh, Resident Evil. And actually, that probably wasn't the best game to start with a little kid.
Yeah, probably not.
But it's like they love the Wii U. They love the Wii. Like, dude, that's what we played. Actually, I guess we still play that because they play the Switch, but not with me anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if I hold on to anything for my kids because my kids are surprisingly not that into video games. My son will like pick a game and be into it, and that's it. But they're not really into games like I thought they'd be. And I don't know. It's weird because we're in a video game space on the internet, but I don't play video games to the extent that most people would think. Like I'll pop on the Super Nintendo Mini and kind of pop on a few rounds of Super Mario World or whatever it may be, speedrun Chippendale, speedrun Musha, speedrun Little Samson.
Speedrun.
No, I don't know. I just want to see how long until you guys caught on to what I was saying. But they're not that into them, so I don't think I hold on to anything in hopes that they'll play. What about your kid? Your kid plays. I went to your house one time and heard him screaming at the top of his lungs playing Fortnite.
Gosh, just raging and smashing controllers. So I hold on to all of my stuff for my kid. I have two.
For your kid?
For my kids. No, I have two. And but it's more of for like, consider it like not a retirement fund for me, like an investment fund. The stuff that I stick away has quite a bit of value.
Yeah.
And so I keep them in bins, and to me it's like buying stocks or something, right? Like you would have a retirement fund that's tied into stocks. I have like no retirement fund, but I have some bins that are worth
How would you feel if just one day something weird in the, I don't know what, video game market crash of 1983 or happens or something, and just games are done and nobody cares? What would be your genuine emotion? I want to see, give me a face expression right now of your genuine face. Breaking news, no one wants old games anymore.
Yes. Oh, over. You can retire. It's done.
Oh my
just hear in the background.
At first it would be like, no, but it'd be like, yes, it's done. No, actually I wouldn't. I mean, I've always thought about that like maybe this would come to an end. Earlier on when I owned the stores, I was like, man, I don't know how long this is going to last. And I was always kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I feel a lot better about it now. Like I think that the market is a long-term sustainable
plan.
Yeah. A lot of it just ties into the characters like Mario and Zelda. It's similar to like a Spider-Man, a Superman, a Batman. Like these characters to me are going to live through generations. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Were you going to say something?
You know what's weird though? I did the same thing with my kids' stuff. I'll keep all their stuff and just put it in bins. That's probably half my stuff too. So like I got a bunch of vintage Legos that Gabe he's like, Dad, I don't want to be. I see it in the trash, so I pick it out. He threw it in the trash, so I'll pick it out and I'll put it away for him. But look, check this out. This was when he was like 5 years old.
Come on, honey. Nicole, Ricky's wife, come on in. Intervention number 2.
He was like 5 when he was throwing it away. Like he was, dude, big giant Legos that my mom would buy him. And he found the crate. He's like, Dad, whose are those? I'm like, bro, those are the ones you threw away. They're mine now. He's like, dude, are you serious? Like, those are mine? I'm like, yeah, you can have them, bro. But I'm keeping them for you, but don't do anything dumb. I'm like, this is for you. But they're like hundreds of dollars now. So I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like,
I think they will last the test of time. Like you said too, because it's like, will it die? Will it die? But like us all being American Pickers fans, like we'll watch it and be like, there's stuff that they're picking from the 20s and the 30s and this and that, the 1800s, Pawn Stars. You watch it. People are collecting anything that has any sort of, at some point, it almost doesn't even have to be special. Right now, we're in a unique time with games because it's special to us, right? We grew up with it, so to say. But there's people that are collecting things from whatever World War I era who weren't alive at that time. It just is a collector's thing at this point. And I think, like you're saying, it's not only going to be about people who are just gamers or grew up collectors. They're at some point in the future, they look at it and go, that's sweet. That's something I want to collect.
Yeah, like Batman and Superman came out in the 1930s.
Wow.
And like they have stood the test.
Christian Bale was
the
the first one, right?
Yeah, right. 1932. That Dark Knight in 1932 was
Very Dark Knight. It was all black and white.
Black and white night. But
Man, he looks great for that age.
But the comics to me are always like the blue chips of collectibles. Like I look a lot at like the history of what's going on with that and compare that to like these other much newer, like VHS collecting. Somebody's going to kill me and be like, well, I've been collecting VHS since 1983. But it's just come around to more mainstream. And so video games to me, have a long sustainability. So, yeah. And just with sentimental stuff, just to go to that, like the toys that my son has are another thing that, like, that's a different type of thing that I set aside. He played with Marvel Legends figures. And so those I will keep for him. Maybe someday when he's, a man, he can look back and be like, dang,
how old is he?
He's 13 now.
Oh, it's only a year older than my son.
Yeah.
Yes, Curtis, what you got, bro?
I think the biggest thing we haven't answered yet. What was your biggest collecting regret to get rid of? Like, what did you get rid of that you regret the most?
I said mine.
And admit it. Just get out there with it.
I'll say right now, it was actually half mine, half Riff's. I didn't know he was selling it until like the day of. He's like, hey, bro, we're selling this our GameCube kiosk to Jared. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
And to me, I never wanted to sell it, but
whoops.
I thought you were gonna say this Virtual Boy shirt at first.
No, because we got that stand for $50. We each paid $25, so we split it, and then it was at my house for the longest time. And Jared comes over with his brother, and Aaron's like, yeah, we're selling it, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, we're selling for, dude, it's a great deal, $200. I was like,
$300, Ricky. It was $300.
Was it $300? I'm pretty sure it was $200.
Maybe it was $200.
It was $200, and I was like, dude, I would have just paid I would have paid my half off just for that. But in my head, like that's how I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, the GameCube kiosk has got. I mean, my wife was so happy, but I was just like, oh man,
see
that thing was.
How about you, Riff? How about you?
I don't have any. I traded little Samson for a Scooper Scope when I was a kid, but I am I just like story, bro. I don't care. I'm very much like, I can get it again. I'll find it again. I'll hunt again. I'll figure. I don't know. I'm so much more about the hunt. I just don't. The things I like that feeling of getting them, documenting it, and then being like, all right, next item. Even though they mean things to me, they totally mean half of the stuff. I can tear up about half of the stuff that I talk about, you know? But,
yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that. It's not the things that I care about, like that Defender of Century I didn't care about. It's the value that I'm like, dude, what the heck? Why did I do that?
oh, man.